Hey guys, it's Monday. Of course, I'm not here, but you guys know how this works, so make sure you guys set up your notes. Now, today I do have kind of this extended warm-up because it is going to be kind of one of the type of questions you are going to see on Friday's test, and it's regarding the mean. So let me jump back. I don't know why it skipped. So when we're talking about the mean, here's the type of question that I get asked pretty often. It's when you guys ask me, hey, what happens if I get this on the next test? What's my average? What's my letter grade going to be? How does that affect it? This is the type of question that's using stats essentially. So this one says Mr. Debit plays Fortnite for 5 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Tuesday, 2 hours on Wednesday, 4 hours on Thursday. Okay, so that's what I've done so far. And it says, how much does he have to play on Friday in order to average 4 hours of game time per weekday? So essentially what is it saying? It's saying, here I have Monday, I have Tuesday, I have Wednesday, I have Thursday, and I have Friday. I know that on Monday, it was 5 hours, right? I know on Tuesday, it was 3 hours. On Wednesday, it was 2 hours. On Thursday, it was 4. How much does he have to play on Friday? I have no idea. That's the question mark here, right? In order for me to have an average of 4 hours of game time per weekday. Remember, average is mean. So essentially, I have to calculate the mean here. Now, again, you could go through and try and guess for Friday, right? What that number has to be. Add them all up, divide by how many. That's how we take the mean. All right, but here's the way that we want to approach this. Well, if I add all of the days here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that Friday, that's my unknown, that's my question mark. Remember, I can use actually a variable. I should have used Dex there. If I add all of these numbers up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I divide by 5 days, it's going to give me my average of 4. So again, that's essentially what we're doing. Now, you could go through and guess, but let's be smart about this. This becomes an algebraic problem here. What if I simplify? What if I add? What if I combine my like terms? What's 5 plus 3 plus 2 plus 4? 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 4 is 14. So let me scoot this over. Really what I have is 14 plus question mark. Instead of that question mark, I'm going to use x here. Maybe that'll jog your memory. All over 5 is equal to 4. Well, how the heck am I going to solve here for x? That's going to tell me how many hours I have to play on Friday. Well, how do I get rid of dividing by 5? Inverse operation says I have to multiply. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So these guys cancel out. Now I'm left with 14 plus x is equal to, what's 4 times 5? That is 20. Well, hey, this is a one-step equation. How do I solve here for x? I have to say minus 14. Minus 14. X is going to equal 6. 6 what though? Well, that's 6 hours. If I want to continue and have an average of 4 hours of game time per weekday in that 5-day period, my Friday time here has to be 5 hours on Friday. Okay, so that's how we use mean, and this is a question I get often. How does this affect my grade? What if I want this? What if I want a 95%? What if I want a 96, a 97? What do I have to score on my next test? This is basically the problem that you're doing. All right, so what I want you guys to do, that was an extended warm-up, so I want you guys to do another warm-up, please. I want you guys to do it for the following. So it says Thomas scored a 98, an 87%, a 90, a 91, and a 85% on his last 5 tests. What does he have to score on his next test to average a 91? He's like, I want to stay above. I want to make sure I have that A. So what does he have to score on the next test? I want you guys to take a second, pause the video here, and try this problem out. Okay. So here we have 98. That's the first one he scored. Plus 87 plus 90 plus 91 plus 85 plus, what do I have to score on the next test? Well, I have all these tests, plus I have no idea what the next one has to be, right? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Well, if I want to find my average, I add them all up, and I divide by how many? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 tests in total, and I want an average of a 91%. So again, let's clean this up here. I have to use a little bit of, take out my calculator here. 98 plus 87 plus 90 plus 91 plus 85. If I clean that up a little bit here, what I really have is 451 plus x over 6 is equal to 91. Well, again, let me get rid of this fraction first. How do I get rid of dividing by 6? Inverse operation says I have to multiply by 6. Property of equality says whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So I multiply both sides by 6. So these guys cancel out. I get 451 plus x is equal to, what is that? 91 times 6 is going to give me 546. Easy. From here's a one-step equation, guys. How do we get rid of 451? I subtract that from both sides, right? Minus 451 minus 451. These guys cancel out. I'm going to scoot over here. I don't have enough space. X is equal to, what is 546 minus 451? That's going to give me 95. So what does Thomas have to score on the next test if he wants an average of a 91%? He has to score a 95% on his next exam. All right, so he has to get that solid A to keep that 91%. All right, guys, so do expect this kind of problem on your unit test coming up on Friday. So you are going to do mean, median, mode, box and whiskers, but you do expect this kind of mean problem, right? We're not really used to it, but this is a very, very, very valuable skill to have. All right, so let's move on here. Today's lesson, so this is what I actually want you guys to tell it. We are going to spend a second day on box and whiskers just to make sure we covered it really, really well. So how do I create a box and whisker graph? Again, I want to go through it. Remember, it's pretty much you're trying to split your data up into 25, 25, 25, and 25%, right? You're breaking it up into 4 little categories. So let's go through and jump into an example. Make sure you guys set up your notes. All right, so let's recall. What does it look like, right? So, of course, here's my box and whiskers. Now, there's 5 important pieces to it. Number 1 is the minimum right here. This shows the lowest value. That was my min, right? What's my lowest value? I have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, blah. What's the lowest number we have? And then after that, we're like, hey, let's jump over here to the right-hand side. What is the highest value? This was my max value. Well, once my numbers are lined up in order from least to greatest, I always want to calculate the median, right, which is the middle. Okay, that's represented by this vertical line right there. Okay, and then I want to find the middle of the bottom half. Remember, I have that lower half, so I take the half of it depending on where that's out. That creates my Q1 or lower quartile, which is right here. And then I do the same thing with the upper half. I try to find the middle of the upper half, which is Q3, which ends up here. And of course, that creates my box in the middle and my whiskers on the side. Now, why was this important? Well, each piece here holds 25% of my data. And so how is this useful? Okay, we can see that there's a big cluster here. In this little range, it's kind of weird, right, to explain it, but in this little range, there's 25% of the data. So it's all clustered in between these values here. All right, so that again tells us a lot. We can interpret depending if I had an actual real life situation. So let's jump over to an example. How do I create it? So let's begin with example 1. Create a box and whisker plot for the following set of numbers. All right, I want you to take a second. Copy this down. If you remember how to do it, all right, take a shot, pause the video. All right, so let's go through it. The very first thing that I want to do, of course, I need my minimum, my Q1, my second quartile, or in other words, my median, and I need my third quartile, and then my max. So I need to first put these numbers in order. So let me put these in order. Let's see, what is the lowest value I have here? I think that's 25, so I'm gonna cross off 25 real quick. All right, next number I have is 28. Looks like it's 28. Yep, 28. Move on to 29. Then I'll move on to, another 29. And then let's go to 30. Move on to 30, 34. 35. Another 35. Another one, right? 37. And lastly, 38. So there we have it, guys. They are in order, right? Now what I want to do, the easy ones here, let's get my min. My min's coming right here from the bottom. The lowest value I have is a 25. That's going to create the lower whisker. What's the max value? That's way up here, sitting at 38. That's my max value. Now again, this is where it starts to get a little funky. So I need to find the median. So remember, how do I find the median? I start crossing off the ends until I find the middle. Now, I don't like to cross off the numbers entirely so I don't get them blurred. So there's 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. Oh, I got 2 numbers in the middle. What happens when I have 2 numbers sitting in the middle? Well, remember, I have to add them and divide that by 2. So what's 30 plus 34? That's 64. 64 divided by 2 is going to give me 32. So if I actually did this here, this gives me 32. 32 is going to be my median or my Q2, in other words. So where do I slice it? This is where it gets a little bit confusing. Well, 32 is between 30 and 34, so I'm going to go right down the middle right here. Break my data in half. Notice I broke it down so I have this bottom half and this upper half up here. So how do I get Q1? I have to find the middle now of the lower half. It's like you're doing the median again of the bottom half. So now let's go ahead and cross it. So there's 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, and I end up with 29. That is going to be Q1. Do the same thing above. 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. That gives me 35. 35 is going to be my Q3. Now, how does this work again? Let's create my little number line here. My numbers, well, that's a terrible straight line, but my numbers range from 25 to 38. So again, I'm going to start with, let's start with 25. I think I can go by once. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Hey, just had enough space. All right, so again, your line should be straighter than that, of course. But how does this work? Well, every point here, every one of my 5 major points here, I want to draw a line. So at 25, let's draw that vertical line. Okay. At 29, let's draw another vertical line. That's going to start my middle box here in a second. 32, there's another box or line. Excuse me. 35 is up here. And lastly, 38 is up here. So how do I create my box and whiskers? Remember, the box is these guys in the middle here. And my whiskers go off to the sides. Now again, each piece here holds 25% of the data. You're going to be asked to do this on Friday's unit test. All right, so let's go. I want you guys to pause the video here. Okay, try this out on your own. And then I'll show you guys the solution in a second. I'll show you guys all my work. Alright guys, so here we go. Here's the solution. Of course, I just took the liberty here. I wrote them in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 2, 3, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 8, 9, right? Let's find my min. Of course, that's the lowest number. There is a 1. My max number that's coming from the very top there, that is a 9. My median or my Q2, both mean the exact same thing. It's the middle, so let me cross off 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Hey, I actually got 1 right in the middle. Is that 7? That's actually going to be my median. So here's where it gets tricky. Like, where do I? Is it on the left side over here? Is it on the right side of that 7? Well, whenever you get a nice set, like a nice number right in the center of the median, you're actually going to cross that off. You're not going to use that value. You want to break it so that it's even. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down below. All right. So let's find Q1. Find the middle of the bottom half here. Cross that off. Cross that off, cross that off, cross that off. That is going to be 2. 2 is going to be my first quartile. And then the third quartile, that's going to be 7. Get rid of 9, get rid of 8, get rid of 8. It's an 8. All right, third quartile, that's going to be 8. So let's go through. There's my number line. All I had to do was go by ones. Of course, you can go by 2s, 3s, depending on the numbers. So here's 1. Here is 2. Here is 7. Here is 8. And here is 9. So again, create my box at the center here. I'll get my whiskers. All right, and there you guys have it. All right, so here's the way this is going to work, guys. Real quick, important announcement. Last day to turn in late work, it will be on Friday. Now, again, some of you guys have like 89s and 91%. So remember, this is going to be crucial for you. So make sure you guys turn in work by then. All right, your assignment, guys, you have 2 of them that look very, very similar to the warm-up. So again, LeBron James scores 27, 42, 15, 29, 38, and 41 points. You got to find the average being 30, right? So number 1 and number 2 are just like the warm-ups. Number 3 and number 4 are just like the examples for today's lesson. So guys, please make sure you do this on a separate sheet of paper, turn it in. Have a nice Monday. I will see you guys tomorrow.